Energy, energy. Is there somebody around us, do you think, here right now?
Oh, very definitely. Yeah.
So I can't really see. I mean, you can hear a lot of noises. People are working. We're in New York and Manhattan. But you feel there's somebody.
Well, I think you feel that in the quiet rather than in the busyness of the world, and there's a connection. We exist simultaneously on many different planes of existence, um, and some of those planes we can sense, some of them we can't, some of them we sense in a dream state when our souls are free, and a lot of this can only be experienced, and that's really where I draw on my stuff. It's not so much that I'm taking courses on things like Ekankar or things on soul travel and things of that type, but it's more along the lines that I would experience something, and then I, rather than be afraid of it or just kind of put it into a corner in my mind, I would start to see how it fits into what I really believe. And part of this is that rather than fighting it, saying, oh, it can't be, it's the work of the devil, it's the work of this, it's more like, well, I know it exists. Now, how is this possible? What is it? What does it tell me? What does it tell me about God? What does it tell me about? And each time I see things that open dimensions up, God gets bigger. God gets bigger, and I really begin to have a deeper sense of connection, a deeper sense of reality. And so when I went to John of God, I realized here's a man that's given probably 70 years of his life. I was too young to really see Albert Schweitzer, and I never got a chance to see Mother Teresa. And so here is somebody that has really served as many people on humanity as they, and given as much of his life as people like that have. And there are many people out there that we don't even know who they are and never will, who do the same thing. But I wanted to.
I agree big time with that one.
And I basically
A lot of wonderful
wanted to
souls
just
out there.
wanted to be supportive of him. So I decided to go down there, and as it turns out, also my a very dear friend of mine was in a car accident. She was thrown from a car. It hit the tree. The car hit the tree, and ran over her, and crushed her spine.
Yeah.
And we thought that she was going to be a paraplegic, a quadriplegic actually. And even though she can't walk, she was down there, she regained the use of her upper body. And more importantly, she found her soul and she found her spirit. And she was a party girl. I mean, one of these people that was, I remember her coming to a party, and she was looking for another party because that one wasn't quite good enough. And so she was always looking for a better party. Mm-hmm. And now she was injured, and sometimes we have these kinds of wake-up calls, and that was her wake-up call. And she could have decided she wanted to leave the planet, but instead it really helped her to find her soul, and she's one of the most amazing people I know, and one of the most loving people that I've ever experienced. And she introduced me to John of God, and when I went down there, it was as if I was coming home, and
Nice.
I didn't know it at the time.
Nice.
But
Nice. What is this? I mean, I love this. About soul. I don't know. What actually do you think is soul? Is the soul, or is that the right way to even say it? The soul of a
Well,
human being. Are we? Is there such a thing as a human being?
well, I think the human body is combined with the soul, which I think lives in many different dimensions, and that may even be living an infinite number of lives. But in a sense, part of it is that we are the individualized point of God, as opposed to individuals seeking God. And that's the important thing to recognize, is that whether this individualized point resides in the soul or it resides whatever you choose to call it, it is that form of energy that we are, that we've chosen to give a name because it's basically that's how we understand and can use things. Is it's got to have some kind of function. It's got to have. We can't just call it something vague. It has to be almost Newtonian in a way. You know, it's got to be. It's got to have a function. And so people have tried to weigh the soul or see if there's any change in infinitesimally as when somebody dies, that the soul actually has weight. And I guess that means that if they can find that it has weight, that they can believe that it exists. But you know, all this energy and all the things that we see, that the Hubble telescope, for instance, shows us up in space, that almost is so mind-blowing we can't even conceive. And you know, we're looking at places in the solar system now where it turns out some of these quote dead planets have water on them, and they don't have an atmosphere, so the water's spewing into space, and it kind of is mind-blowing. It's wonderful to watch these guys. They spent all this money and these degrees in Caltech, and they've written books saying it has to be this way, and then they completely are seeing that it's
not that way.
It's a geographer who thought the Earth was flat, and now realizes it's round completely.
What are some of the things that you want to do from this point? I mean, you have very big success. You have a lot of people from Oprah, you know, to Deepak Chopra, to you know, a handful of people that are believing in what you're doing. What kind of a mission do you feel you have for yourself at this point?
Well, I feel very blessed that I've been surrounded by people who certainly society is given a platform to, and like Dr. Chopra and certainly Oprah, and I am part of I guess the many things that are brought to them, and I feel like it's part of my mission to be able to well, one of the most immediate things that I wanted to do was to help people to realize that the biggest disease of all is within each person, and that's not feeling loved, and it's not feeling good enough. And a lot of the things about peace and war and things of that type come from not feeling good enough, not feeling loved, and feeling that there has to be a way to make a statement, and gosh knows what goes through the mind of people like Kim Il-jung or whatever, but what happens a lot, even on a very local level, when people choose to be combative in the way that because they're not feeling acknowledged or not feeling loved. But love comes. You teach people how to treat you. You teach you that love comes from within, and there's no shortage of it because we're that individualized point of God, and so part of it is God knowing itself by means of us, and so we can. What I hope to do is to be able to have a ministry and have materials and have things to point people in the right direction, to realize that it's the inner qualities within us. It's that part of us that is just remarkable, that is so powerful, and yet because we can't feel, see, or touch it, we can't fit it into a way to make some formula to make money, that it doesn't really exist, that it's not really helpful enough for us. And so we keep this disease alive. It haunts us right through our death. It haunts our relationships. It haunts our decision making. And so this is what we choose to do is to have to live with it, but we run from it or try to combat it instead of really embracing it and recognizing that when we embrace it, it becomes an illusion. It is the illusion. And so that's what I intend to do, is write more books like Soul Currency. I have a book that I'm choosing to, I believe, has an opportunity where to explain a concept that I have that might end poverty and hunger.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I call solar currency, but it is really the ability to build these small solar plants that are owned by the people who actually use them, and it becomes like a bank for them, and they can sell the energy. They don't. It is not somebody. It is their right to do that. It's not the right of a government to own it and tell them that they have to pay, or an individual that owns it. It's the right for all of these people who depend on, who are benefit from the sun, and therefore can be able to end their hunger and be able to have several crops, to be able to create light industry as a result of creating power, and sustainable farming. And so that is very important, because most of the places where there's hunger and poverty are places where the sun shines, and 70% of that is in high solar zones.
Right. Last question, and this is just part one of many, I hope. Ernie really is a very good soul, and doing great work, and a good Samaritan, and always thinking about social responsibility, and just corporately as well as individually. What's good news for you?
Well, good news is really seeing that the world is created through your intention and through the way you are able to bring things like optimism, and we call that optimism, but it's really, in my opinion, it is being able to see perfection in all that exists.
Yay.
And to really see that there's a purpose, there's a greater purpose that benefits us all, and that, in a sense, I heard a way to describe that there's many people think there's a conspiracy in the universe, but good news is really knowing that conspiracy in the universe is in your favor.
Well, it's all about love.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Ernie, thanks so much for sharing a lot of wisdom with us, and the good work that you're doing, and we look forward to meeting with you again.
Well, what a treat this is. Thank you for.
It's a good thing. Your website is I see you have a couple. So
www.soulcurrency.org, and of course my own personal private website is www.ernestchu.com.
Right. Okay, Ernest, thank you so much.